All right, so welcome. It's so good to see many of you here in our Zoom call. My name is Lorien Carter. I'm an associate professor of practice in social work at the Brown School. I also oversee the MSW Foundation curriculum year, which doesn't have a lot to do with our advanced standing students, but we will be offering a bridge course that bridges from our foundation year into our concentration year. So I'll be back to talk about that in a little while. I'm going to turn this over to Chloé.
Hello, everyone. My name is Chloé Risto. I am the MSW program manager. I may have spoken to some of you on Zoom already, so welcome. I help do a lot of academic advising and work with our social work faculty, and I will also pop back in here in a little bit. But for now, I'm going to toss it over to some of my colleagues in field education, starting with Alison.
Hello, my name is Alison Rico. I am one of the field faculty members in the Office of Field Education. I work with most students, both foundation and concentration, and I oversee mental health concentration. And I will pass that along to my colleague, Barbara Levin.
Hi, everyone. I've spoken to some of you. I can recognize your names. My name is Barbara Levin, she, her, hers pronouns. As similar to Allison, I'm a teaching faculty assigned to field education. My concentrations that I oversee are primarily the social impact leadership concentration, and then I share domestic SCDs, domestic social and economic development, with one of my other colleagues. And so, yes, welcome.
All right, Allison, I'm turning it back over to you.
Okay. So our mission here at Brown is to educate and prepare future social work and public health leaders in the areas of policy, practice, and research, to pioneer research and apply results to impact policy and practice locally, nationally, and internationally, and to collaborate with organizations to improve access to the quality of social services and to address social and economic justice.
So when we think about what that really means at the Brown School, we think about how our mission shows up in our curriculum. So we have a curriculum that was really developed to be different. We have a particular approach to evidence-based practice. And while any MSW program you may be considering likely uses evidence-based practice, we have created a model at the Brown School called the FLAIR model of evidence-based practice. And it's integrated within our foundation and our concentration curriculum that really helps our students think critically about evidence and how to apply that evidence in the context of lots of other factors when you're making practice and policy decisions. We also know that in our curriculum, we have this focus on on all of the ways that you can intervene with population. So if you want to do micro clinical social work, if you want to do meso, so more of that kind of within organizations and communities, or if you want to do macro social work, where you're really focusing on big P policy social work. So we have a way in our curriculum to introduce you to all of those and to allow you to get depth and experience in whichever area of social work that you want to spend the rest of your long career focusing on. We have an anti-oppression framework, and again, that is embedded across our curriculum, really thinking critically about how are we making sure that the lens of equity shows up in all of our work, and how that you can then bring that equity lens in the work that you're going to do. We have a lot of course offerings. It's rare that a student says they can't find a class they want. More often, what I hear from our academic advisors is that students want to take all the things, and we have to really help them figure out what are the right course offerings from the many that we offer that will really help them tell a story when they graduate from the Brown School about what they can do with their degree. And then finally, we're focused on all kinds of career advancement. So some people in social work are going to do really traditional social work, again, thinking about clinical social work, or working within settings like hospitals or in schools. And we also know that there are emerging careers for social workers in government, in municipalities, working working with multiple disciplines in healthcare settings. So we know that we're thinking all the time, not only about what we think you can do with what jobs are open now, but there are jobs of the future that may come into play as we think about this idea that we're hearing so much about in the United States of defunding the police and putting that money into really innovative mental health support services that are on the ground. Those are emerging careers that we want to prepare you for as well.
All right. And so how do we do that preparation? So here at the Brown School, we offer a multitude of concentrations from which you can select. You'll see here on the screen, it ranges from things like American Indian Alaska Native, children, youth, and families, all the way down to social impact leadership, violence and injury prevention, and potentially the option to individualize if after you review the preset concentrations, perhaps you have something else in mind for your postmaster's career goals, and individualizing is an option. Knowing that many of you are interested in our 12-month plan as an advanced standing student, you will want to be thinking right off the bat about what might my concentration be, because you and your academic advisor, along with faculty and field, will help jump you right into those courses that are aligned with one of these 10 concentrations here on the screen. But not only do we have concentrations, but we also have 6 optional specializations. So if you want to think about the verbiage we're using, like major, minor, your concentration is like your major. You will have to declare one of those. Specializations are like a minor. They are not required, but many students do enjoy using one of these options to help intersect with their concentration level coursework. So as you can see here, we have 6 different specializations: management, policy, research, sexual health and education, social entrepreneurship, and system dynamics. And these specializations, and we'll show you it a little bit later, what your coursework may look like, but these specializations will fit neatly into your curriculum plan should you decide to follow one of them. Additionally, in case the MSW is not quite enough and you're looking for a bit more during your time at the Brown School, we offer both dual degree programs and joint degree. So dual, being in-house at the Brown School, we have 2 options. You could have your social work degree and public health, an MPH, or perhaps you're interested in social work and social policy, an MSP. These 2 dual degree options could be right up your alley. And if you haven't yet had the chance to talk to someone about that, our admissions team are an awesome group of folks that will be glad to give you more information about those dual degree programs. Like I mentioned, we also have joint degree programs. So this is if you have interest outside of the Brown School. We have some relationships with other colleges on campus that you can, jointly do some work with. So you have social work and business, social work and education, law, architecture, urban design, and we also have a partnership with Eden Theological Seminary, where students can get a joint degree in pastoral studies or in divinity. So many, many options. I think I kick it back to Lorien.
Right. So you've probably seen this already in some of your application materials, but just to remind you what we're giving you credit for. So by being advanced standing, we give you credit for our foundation courses. So you get credit for having at the BSW level taken research methods, some kind of human behavior class, a course focused on social welfare policies and services, how to work with individuals, families, and groups in social work, and then how to do social work practice with organizations and communities. Our full 2-year degree program students do a foundation practicum and an integrative practicum seminar in their first year that we also give you credit for. So you can receive up to 19 total eligible credits. You have to have received a B or better in these courses in order to get that credit. For some of the courses, if you didn't get a B or better in human behavior or research methods, we have an option for you to take our proficiency exam, which is the test out exam that we offer to any of our students who have significant coursework or experience in those two areas. So a lot of times our undergraduate students who had a degree in psychology or human subjects or human development degree can test out of human behavior. So we would offer you that option to complete that and test out of that proficiency course if you didn't get a B or better at the undergraduate level. So admissions will be back in touch with you about which courses you will receive credit for and then what your options are after that point. So then what you take when you're at the Brown School is a minimum of 39 credits, 39 credit hours. So depending on what you selected when you applied to the Brown School, we see this as either a 2 or 3 semester program. Usually practicum is in the summer after your first year. You will have an email from the Brown admissions office to see which advanced standing coursework you've received credit for and what you should do next. And then your whole Brown School experience kicks off with a 4-credit summer bridge course. The dates are here. It will be offered from August 9th through the 19th. And this fall, in August, it will be offered as a fully online course, and it's called the BSW Intensive Bridge to Brown. So I want you to pay attention to all of the words in that sentence that I just gave you, because it is an intensive course. It's a 2-week course that basically emphasizes things that we know you will need a significant depth of knowledge with when you jump into our concentration courses when the fall semester starts. We'll get you in touch with your academic advisors really early. So as soon as you deposit with us, then we're able to get you in touch with them so you can start your fall semester registration. So what do these 39 credits look like? It looks like the BSW Bridge to Brown that I just talked about, and then 21 credits of concentration level coursework that would follow either one of the preset concentrations, or you would tie content from those other concentrations together in an individualized way. You would have 9 credits of electives. You can choose to use those for your specialization, or you can choose to use them just to kind of give you a more well-rounded academic experience. And then you will complete 5 credits of concentration practicum, and our field faculty will chat with you about that in a few minutes. So again, depending on which track you applied to, you're going to complete those 39 credits either in 12 months, being fall, spring, and the following summer, or 16 months, where you start in the fall and go spring, summer, and the following fall. We let you do either one of those. It just depends on how quickly you want to graduate with your MSW and also the pace at which you want to work. While we have a 12-month program, we want to convey to you that if you want to space out your curriculum a little bit more and have a little bit more opportunity to kind of settle in, especially if you're moving to St. Louis, that we would highly be very, very supportive of a 16-month program as well. So this Bridge to Brown course that I've talked about, this BSW intensive course, focuses on 4 key topics. One is that Brown School's FLAIR model of evidence-based practice that I mentioned for you. So while you may have had some kind of introduction to evidence-based practice, we want to make sure that you're familiar with how the Brown School approaches that. We also know that while you've taken courses likely in social justice and human diversity, that we sort of think there can never be too much of that. And we want to give you an opportunity to kind of find more information about how the Brown School really approaches the idea of social justice from this equity lens. And so some conversations with our, with the faculty who teach that bridge course, they've said the students find it really, really helpful to have learned about a way to do allyship that isn't performative, that is really genuine in our approach to being an ally in support of our marginalized populations. And then social, economic, and political environment. In many of your undergrad courses, you probably had a lot on the social environment. We want to focus a little bit more in this bridge course on the economic and political environment, because we know those have such a key, they are so influential in terms of whether or not our clients actually receive services. And then again, just a nice refresher of research methods. We do use evidence quite a lot in our graduate program, and so research methods helps you become a really good consumer of evidence, as well as thinking about what evidence might you want to create.
Okay, so when it comes to the concentration level coursework, regardless of which concentration you end up declaring, you are going to follow this bit of a framework, and every single concentration has more detailed information about what those courses might be. But every concentration will have a policy course, a theory course. The sort of formal title is Theory, Problems, and Issues, where that course will help ground you in that area specifically. So the theory course can serve as that foundation that from which you build upon with the policy course, and then 9 credits of practice method courses to really get into the skill building aspect of your concentration. Every single person will take an evaluation course, of which you have a couple of options that you'll get to discuss with your academic advisor. And additionally, every student at the Brown School will have the opportunity to take 3 credits of a leadership and management course. This addition to our curriculum is really based on real life accounts from many of our alumni. We learned that within 3 to 5 years of Brown School students leaving with their MSW, that their employers were tapping their shoulders for stepping into managerial roles and leadership roles. And so we want to make sure that you have the opportunity to dig a little bit deeper into that content area and feel more prepared as you step out into the workforce. And lastly, you will round out your coursework with concentration level practicum, which will be right there aligned with the concentration that you have decided to declare. And before, I did mention that there are these 9 credits that are also part of your coursework with us. And so here's sort of a breakdown of how you could use those 9 credits. So again, perhaps you're going to declare a specialization, but perhaps you're not. Perhaps you like to use those 9 credits as they purely are for electives. In that case, you have a variety of options, really. Electives could be other Brown School classes, whether it's courses from another concentration that you have some interest in but decided not to declare. Maybe it's a public health course that you'd like to take, or even a social policy class. Beyond that, if you find a graduate level course on WashU's campus that is really aligned to your interests, you can certainly take one of those. There's a little form you got to fill out, but we have that opportunity as well. And if that's not enough, we also have an inter-university exchange with 2 local institutions, St. Louis University and the University of Missouri St. Louis, also known as UMSL. The 3 of us have an inter-university exchange, so you could take graduate level coursework over at either of those as well, because some of their, we have found that some of their social work courses we might not have, and vice versa. So some of our Brown School students have enjoyed taking up that option as well. So if you haven't yet figured out that there's a lot of different choices at the Brown School, this is probably like further helping you understand that.
So why is field education an essential piece of your preparation for social work practice? So field education is a signature pedagogy of social work and public health. Practicum is a course that provides you with an opportunity to kind of learn what's going on, learn from the professionals who are doing the work in the field. And it kind of integrates theory and knowledge that you're learning in the classroom and translate that into real world experience to kind of develop those skills for your future career goals within social work or public health or or social policy. Practicum is a way to build your skills and your knowledge as well as your resume. It kind of helps you begin building a community of practice for those areas, for your area of interest that you're interested in. And practicum is also that beginning, that first step towards your career endeavors. So what distinguishes the field education experience at the Brown School? Well, it's designed for student agency and autonomy. And we do that because students are allowed to choose their own practicum at the Brown School, which is different than some of the other placement models that are out there right now. But students do have a lot of autonomy in creating their practicum experience and what they would like to do. Students have access to over 800 sites that we have relationships with and the field faculty, myself and my peers, we kind of help support and provide as much consultation as possible in that selection process. So the advisory and support that you get from field, for the Office of Field Education, and as field faculty, we are here to support you and your field advisor. Field faculty helps conduct workshops that kind of help you along the way and provide you with information in different areas. And we also provide one-on-one consultation with students. We also do advisor today, so that we're available most days of the week throughout the entire week to meet with students on a regular basis to provide that extra support. And in looking at integration with the curriculum, field instructors receive receive advanced training and consultation from the field education team, and we support the students while they're learning in the field as well. And field faculty, we're again here to support you and the field instructors throughout the entire practicum process from the beginning to end. So what are you going to be doing during your practicum? Good question. So as students, you'll be learning those skills that are aligned with the concentrations that you've chosen to go with, to kind of help you move closer to your career goals. You'll be completing 600 hours of concentration practicum, which is a total of 5 credit hours, and each credit hour is worth 120 hours. Where will you complete your concentration practicum? Well, that actually completely depends on you. So it depends on your concentration and the organization that you're working with and what your interests are. Those can be completed locally within the St. Louis metro area, or they can be completed nationally, depending on the state where you decide you would like to do that. Additionally, there are global opportunities for students to pursue international-based concentration under ISCD, which is International Social and Economic Development, as well as global focus individualized concentrations. And these international opportunities can be in both out of country, locally, and nationally, because since some of these organizations are actually based here in the US, even though they're doing national work.
So after all that, your question is, when do I get started? And a favorite answer at the Brown School is, it depends. So part of this is going to depend on whether or not you've chosen a 12-month track or a 16-month track. What's wonderful about our plan is that we recognize that you may be moving to a new city, you're starting graduate school, you've got that 2-week intensive class, Bridge to Brown, and the expectation that you would be able to find your own practicum and get started in August is pretty not necessarily doable or realistic. And so we encourage both the 12-month and the 16-month track students to start their practicum in the spring semester. But what you will begin is your very first month, you're going to be inundated with opportunities, a fair, be it in person or online, where you can begin to search for your practicum. We're going to have information sessions for you, even during the Bridge to Brown class, where you're going to begin to hear, how do I search and how do I narrow it and how do I begin to make my decisions, right? And the 16-month, while in the plan, we encourage you you can start in the spring, but you can also start in the summer into the fall. Our 12-month track students, we really encourage you to start in the spring into the summer. And I'll talk about a couple exceptions. So you begin searching, you have interviews in the fall, and you set up the interviews with a field instructor. They interview you, you interview them, and then you make a decision and you choose. They choose you, you choose them. You can say no, you can say yes, and the same goes for them. So that's what Alison was talking about, is the agency that we give you. And then you start practicum, whoops, going fast there. You start practicum, that's okay. You start practicum in the spring and continue into the summer. And in the summer, generally, you will not have any classes. You won't have any classes, so that you can also think that this is going to be a time where you're going to do the majority of your hours is going to be in the summer, as if you were a full-time staff person. So it makes it really quite an experience. In terms of the next slide, when you will start practicum, another issue is the two exceptions that we talked about. Some school social work settings require a fall spring. And so if school social work is your jam and that's what you want to explore, have the conversations with us, the field faculty, and Chloé can send you to us, or the admissions, and we can begin to have those conversations and set those things up in advance. Mental health concentration. Many mental health sites also require a fall spring, and they want that 9-month experience. Not all, but many. And so again, you want to explore with Alison, who's our field faculty for mental health, how this will work and what your interests are and what are your options, okay? And then international and social and economic development, again, these are some exceptions. You may do most of it in the summer and have to swing the other semesters. And we work with you very, very carefully on how to plan for this and how to move forward with these options. If you are from St. Louis, I would say there's a little bit more of an opportunity. If you know St. Louis and you want to jump into a practicum in the fall, have that conversation with us and we can talk about whether or not that makes sense or not for you and for the agency and for your learning. So there's some option with that. Who will support you during this practicum search? Well, in addition to Alison and I, we have a whole set of colleagues. Each of us have either 1 or 2 concentrations that we're responsible for, which means that we have a very interesting and long-standing relationship with a set of practicum sites who know us and know our students, and we're familiar with how to help you make some choices. And so that's your key person. But as Alison said, we have drop-in hours, we are always available, and we are very much a team, and we talk and share with each other. And this is our wonderful Bitmoji. Yeah, my hair hasn't looked like that in a year, but anyway, this is who we are. And as you can see, we have this will be recorded and sent to you, so you have our email addresses and our concentration designations here. I'm going to throw it back to Lorien.
I'm jealous of these Bitmojis. I want mine on the screen too. So I know that many of you probably logged onto this Zoom today because you really want to hear about fall 2021 planning. It's the question that we are asked the most often is, what will the structure of our MSW program look like for the academic year starting 2021? So what we anticipate that at least half of your classes will be able to be in person on campus, and that another half of your courses would be likely offered as remote or online courses. This is absolutely being driven by the public health protocols, and the public health protocols on our campus are being driven by the CDC. So as the CDC gives us updated guidance, then we will take all of that guidance into account and make decisions. So what that means is at minimum, half of your courses will be in person, but it's also likely that more than half of your courses could be if the public health guidance changes around the 6-foot distancing. So in our building, we have lots of beautiful buildings, we have lots of beautiful classroom spaces, but they aren't often big enough for us to keep a class of 20 or more students 6 feet apart at all times. times. And so we're limited right now in which actual buildings we can use. If the guidelines change, we could use more of our classrooms in our buildings, which would then open up more opportunities for in-person classes. So we've thought really intentionally about how we're making decisions about which classes are in person and which are offered as remote or online. We think about the ones that would benefit most from kind of an in-person pedagogy. So we think of those as those applied practice opportunities that fall a little bit flat if we have to try to do an applied practice scenario over Zoom. And so we're very thoughtful about what's the right course and what's the right format for that course. When we think about these remote courses, those online courses, some of that is live content where you would log on to Zoom for some part of the classroom time. And then some of it might be pre-recorded where you would be expected to watch a pre-recorded lecture between week 1 and week 2, for example. So a lot of that does fall within the discretion of our faculty members to make their own best decisions for the courses that they teach in terms of what the right amount of synchronous or asynchronous content is. Just so that you know, we have worked really, really hard. We've been at this now for more than a year. Our faculty spent a lot of time over the summer. There was a required course in the Foundations of Digital Pedagogy that all of our faculty were required to take, as well as a welcome to Canvas, because Canvas is the learning management system that we use, and it has some really robust opportunities for kind of interactive online content. And so all of our faculty participated in those 2 required short courses. And then about 25 to 30% of the faculty did an additional 2-week course design institute offered by the Washington University Center for Teaching and Learning to really delve deeply into one of their courses and get it fully prepared to teach as an online course. So throughout this past academic year, we've also provided a lot of additional training and support and teaching tips to our faculty. I run our faculty instructional coaching initiative at the Brown School, so I reach out to faculty and they reach out to me as they're kind of making decisions about their course. So we just really want you to know that we are thoughtful about the high quality education that we promise you from before you become an admitted student all the way back to when you first started looking at us. And we hold very firmly to, you will receive a high quality education in your time at the Brown School. We are trying to get it as close to the in-person experience that we've always had, but even what we've seen this semester as opposed to last semester in terms of a lot more like really robust use of a lot of interactive tools so that students don't just have to sit in front of a Zoom screen for multiple hours at a time. And then just a reminder that Practica, the decisions around what is, if those are in person or remote, is depending on those particular sites. And so as more sites give us information about their anticipated return to in person, we'll make sure that you have that information as well. I think it's Chloé.
Yep. So before we turn it over to any questions, we did want to take a moment to share with you our approach to advising. We have this a bit of a 3-tiered advising system at the Brown School to holistically provide you support. So every single student will receive an academic advisor. That person is going to be someone that can help you with the day-to-day, the things that happen in the Brown School. They can help you navigate policies and procedures. They can help connect you to resources, whether there are other faculty or staff or departments on WashU's campus. And also they are the person that's gonna help you make sure that you sign up for the right classes. So at the very least, that person's gonna make sure you're in what you need to be in and then be in the next thing that you're supposed to be in. So you've got your academic advisor, but also you will receive a faculty advisor. So this person is one of our MSW faculty who are aligned with your career interests, your concentration, perhaps your specialization interests. This faculty advisor, I like to think of this person as they're the one that you're going to talk to about next. They're the one that you get to talk to about what I'm learning here. What does that mean for the field? I envision that person for you as someone who might say, hey, based on our last conversation, I wanted to share with you that there is a virtual conference you might be interested in, or you might be interested in looking into this class, which I think is really well aligned to what we last talked about. So, you know, academic advisor, day-to-day, helping you navigate the Brown School. Then you get connected to this person who helps you take that next step and connect your degree to the profession. But that's not all. Field education as well. So like Alison and Barbara and their colleagues, you are all going to get a field education faculty member who is going to help you not only navigate your practicum experience, but they too get to have those conversations with you about what I'm doing in the classroom. How is that linked to where I am currently in field? And what I think is so cool is like you have these three people swirling all around you. Well, take a conversation you had with Alison about your mental health practicum location and kick it back to your faculty advisor to talk about what does that mean for me professionally? And when the faculty advisor says, oh, make sure you check out so-and-so's class, and you kick it over to your academic advisor and say, hey, I got this recommendation on a course. Can you help me figure out how to fit it into my schedule? And round and round and round we go. So definitely wanted to make sure that you were aware that we have those systems in place for you here at the Brown School. And with all of that, we leave it to you if you have any questions for us. And I think you can either say it out loud, pop it in the chat.
Yeah, so since we are recording this, it's helpful if you're willing to hop on and ask your question live. If you want to toss it in the chat, we'll read it out loud so that for the folks who are watching the recording later, they can have the benefit of the question and the answer.
Can we stop sharing maybe, and then we get to see people?
Mm-hmm.
Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah.
Yes.
Hi, my name's Becca. My question is for the BSW like intensive course. I know you were saying that that was August 9th to the 19th.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I might have heard you said it was online. Is that true? It's
Yes,
going to be online. Okay.
Yep, fully
and is
online.
Okay. And for that like course, is that like a Monday through Friday thing, or like what would those 2 weeks kind of look like schedule wise?
Right. So again, it's an intensive course. We typically think of it the first week, it's Monday through Thursday, roughly 9 to 5 Central Time. Again, some of that might be asynchronous time where the instructor is there available to provide support, but you're working independently or in small groups, or it might be live time where you're actually engaging in a conversation or a discussion or an activity with the entire class. The first Friday of those 2 weeks is a field session. So again, a deeper dive into getting you ready for your field experience at the Brown School. And then the following week, it's Monday through Thursday. So again, we know it's intensive. We want to really remind you, like, this is taking the place of MSW courses that you don't have to take at the Brown School. So in the past, we required students to take the Social Justice, Human Diversity and the CEPI course, which meant you really couldn't do our advanced standing program in less than 3 semesters. But there is this trade-off, right? There's the busyness and the intensive nature of those first few weeks before our orientation that then allows you to get out within 1 calendar year if you so desire.
Okay, great. Thank you. And I guess the main reason why I also asked that is because I'm going to be relocating from Maryland. Like, would you suggest, I guess, moving to Missouri or moving to St. Louis like before that intensive course happened?
Absolutely.
Then? Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. If you could be here by August 1st, give yourself a little bit of time to kind of settle into the St. Louis community and then be ready to rock and roll with the class that starts on August the 9th.
So correct me if I'm wrong, Lorien, also the week after the bridge class is orientation.
Right.
So there are many activities that are required you to be here anyway. So I strongly say, I agree with Lorien, get here as soon as you can. And then you can come and hang out in the building or not, or whatever.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Other questions?
Hi, yes, I also had a question about that intensive program. What is the cost for that program, and is it like built into the tuition or is it an added cost?
I'm going to kick that question to somebody from admissions. I think, Sarah, you can probably answer that for us.
Yeah, so the BSW intensive is charged at a credit hour rate. So it's in addition to the tuition that you'd be paying for the 2 or 3 semesters that you'll be in the advanced standing program.
I will add that in terms of registering for that course, we last year, which is the first time that we offered it, we will go ahead and enroll all of you into that course. It will live on your fall schedule. So when you and your academic advisor work together with your fall schedule, it'll appear that your fall schedule has a ton of credits, but know that some of that is because it was the bridge course that it's a little confusing, but it'll live in your fall schedule, but you will be charged separately.
Great, thank you.
Other questions that had you logging on to listen to us chat about the advanced standing program? What were you hoping to learn? Well,
is there something else we can tell you to convince you that we are the best program for you? So, you know, make us work here. Tell us what we can do to convince you, or we're gonna have to sing and dance, and that's not a pretty sight. So, you know.
I'll go ahead and ask
oh, okay, good.
Sorry. What are like the class ratios and the like cohort sizes? You guys might have said that and I might have just not paid attention, but.
So typically in our largest concentrations, children, youth, and family and mental health are our largest concentrations. Are the highest number of students that you would be in a class with would be about 30, and usually less than that. So somewhere between 20 and 25 in our largest concentrations. And then, you know, if you are an older adults and aging societies concentrator, that concentration is pretty small. So you could regularly get to know 8 to 10 to 12 other students who are in several of your courses at the same time. Is there anything else that we share about cohort size, like total number of students, not just in a class? Usually we range somewhere between 200 and 300 MSW students. Is that right, Sarah? Yep, 200 to 300 MSW students. That includes our full 2-year students who are not advanced standing.
Yeah. And this year, this current school year, we have 39 advanced standing students that came in fall of 20.
Mariah, do you have a question for us?
Yes, and you said my name perfectly, so thank you. Yeah, I was just wondering what other states you're able to go to for your practicum.
Well, you have lots of choices. You know, all the states are optional for you, depending on what you're interested in. If we're not already affiliated with that organization, there are opportunities to have organizations affiliated if you're interested. So that's always a possibility as well. And as I said before, even internationally, there are those opportunities as well. So not necessarily having to leave the country, but there are some of those organizations that are actually have sites here in the US, both here in St. Louis and all over the country.
How has that looked in the past years, like with COVID going on?
Well, with COVID at this point in time, that has actually given us even more opportunities because students have been able to work remotely, even if they weren't here in St. Louis, working remotely with organizations here as well as in other states to complete their practicums. So it's actually given students even some more opportunities that we didn't anticipate to begin with. We were a little concerned. And currently, students are working both remotely and in person, depending on the site.
I would add that in the spring semester, if you start, you know, your 2 credits in the spring and save 3 for the summer, those 2 credits in the spring most likely would be close by here because your classes will be here.
Mm.
In the summer, there are opportunities depending on your concentration that you can split your concentration. It's getting into the weeds a little, but potentially you could go home in the summer, finish your practicum at a site where you then get hired. And I also just wanted to say that Illinois is only 6 minutes in that direction from my house. So that's another state we forget about. And, you know, it's not Chicago, but it is, you know, Southern Illinois is right here. So
considered part of, some of it's considered part of our Metro East, while others are a little bit further, but there are opportunities in Illinois.
Exactly, exactly.
Chicago's only 5 hours away.
That's where I am right now. So thank you guys.
Great.
I think we hit the content just right. All the time that we spent preparing for this presentation and making sure our slides were exactly how they needed to be served us really well this evening. So I am going to just share screen just for one more minute, just to remind you of the fact that we are available and are happy to talk with you beyond just today. So feel free to reach out to any of us.